In our last Joomla video, we'll dive into Joomla's robust access and permission system. You'll learn how to manage users, create and assign user groups, and understand how these groups inherit specific privileges. I'll also demo how to set up custom user fields and configuring access levels to control who can view and edit content across various Joomla items like articles, modules, categories, and menu items. So let's get to it. In the last couple of videos, we went over the content structure of Joomla and all of its elements. Then we went over extension types. And now we're going to be going over access and permissions. The first one that we're going to go over are the users. So to access your users, go to the left-hand side here. There's a dedicated area to users. If you click on that, this first option here, Manage, this is going to show you all the users that have been registered through the front end of your website or ones that you've manually created. This view is going to give you a lot of information about your users, and you can see that here displayed as a table. If I click on this user here, which is me, then on this first tab, you're going to see all the basic account information that you would expect, like name, login, and password, email, and things like that. If you go to this next tab, you're going to see the assigned user groups. I'm going to be talking a lot about user groups, but before I do that, I want to show you how to add custom fields to users. So let's go ahead and close that out. On the left-hand side, you're going to see two menu items, fields and field groups. This is exactly how articles are set up with their fields and field groups, and it behaves a lot the same. So if I went in here to fields and I wanted to create a new field, then let's make a text area and I'm going to call it bio. Let's save and close that. Now let's create a field group. Say bio tab here, and I'm going to select save and close. Then I'm going to go back to my field and assign it to that field group. So there's our field group, bio tab, and click save and close. Now when we go to manage and click on my account, you're going to see right here a new tab has been created with that custom field. The great thing about creating these custom user fields is that you can make them a part of the registration process and collect all kinds of data that you need from your users. Users then can come back later and edit these fields if needed in their user profile, or you can create custom fields that are hidden from the user and only can be seen by administrators or managers. That's a really powerful feature that's offered in the core of Joomla software. So now that we've gone over users, I'm going to go ahead and tick this off. Now let's take a look at user groups. Like I had mentioned before, if you go to the Assigned User Groups tab, you can see what user group this user has been assigned to. By default, when someone registers for your site, they're going to be put into the registered user group. As a part of that group, they're going to inherit certain privileges. To see what those privileges are, we're going to exit out of this user, and we're actually going to go into System, Global Configuration, and then down here on the left-hand side, we're going to click on Users. Now in the user options, there's a tab called permissions. If you click on that, you're going to see all of the user groups here on the left-hand side, and you're going to see what kinds of permissions that they have. So you can see public, that they're not allowed to do anything, but if you get into being a manager, they can create, delete, and edit content on your site. If you go to administrator, then they have the ability to configure the access controls. And if you go to super user, they have access to everything. Now you can create as many of these user groups as you want and nest them together. So if you go over here to users and click on groups, you're going to see all of the groups listed there. And if I click on one of these, you're going to see that there's not much here. And that's because this is a container, and you assign its privileges in the global configuration user options page that we were just at. So some of these have these three dotted lines and a dash. These are designating the parent groups and the child groups. And the reason that you would set up parent groups and child groups is that the child group will inherit all of the permissions of the parent group. And when you set up your access levels, they'll also inherit the access levels of that parent group. An administrator has more permissions than a manager does, but the way that this is set up is that the administrator is a child of the manager, and it's done that way because the administrator inherits all the permissions that the manager does, but then there's some permissions that the administrator has that the manager does not. All right, so I think that covers everything that we want to go over for user groups. So let's go ahead and check that off. And now let's talk about access levels. You can take a look at the access levels. It's right underneath the groups menu item. Now on the left-hand side are the names of the access levels. And then on the right here, these are the groups that are assigned to these access levels. What can make user groups and access levels a little bit confusing is that there are some access levels and groups that are named the same thing by default. So you have public and public, guest and guest, and then you have registered, which does include registered, but also includes other groups as well. One thing you might have noticed is that you can have a single user group assigned to multiple access levels. So you can see super user here 3 times and manager is here twice as well. This is going to give you a lot of flexibility in being able to control the content and who sees it. If I wanted to create a new access level, all I'd have to do is go up here and click on new, give it a name, and then select which user groups belong to this access level. Now, just because I create an access level and assigned user groups to it, it doesn't really inherently do anything. What it does do is it allows you to be able to select different types of content to be visible to these user groups. To show you this, I'm going to go over to one of our articles. So under here, content and articles, I'm going to go to this typography page. And if you look right here, there is a drop down with all of the access levels. So if I wanted this article to only be visible to people that are registered to the site, then I would select registered. If I don't care who sees it, anybody can see it. It can be set to public or any of these other levels. Now, the one caveat here is that you can set a piece of content to guest. That means that it's going to be displayed to people that are not registered, but then be hidden as soon as they register or log in. Now, this is really helpful when, let's say, you have a pop-up that asks people to subscribe to your newsletter. Once somebody has logged in, you don't want those pop-ups showing up anymore. Or you might have a menu item that is the registration form that you don't really want to show after people have been registered. You're going to see this access level drop down field in all of the Joomla content items. So let's go ahead and show you those as well. So that was for articles, but I can also show this to you in modules. So let's go ahead and click on one of these modules. You're going to see that same access level drop down field here as well. Just a couple other areas to show you here in categories. If I select one of these, you can see the access levels right there. If I go into my menus and select any one of these menu items, the access level is right there on that. And then you can even go into specific fields. The access level is there as well. So nearly everything can be controlled by these access levels, which is a really cool and powerful feature of Joomla. All right, so now that we've gone over all the things with access levels, I can mark this off of our list, and you can see that we've gone over content structure, extension types, and access and permissions. We've completed all those sections that we went over in the first presentation, and now I think you could say that you're a lot smarter and more knowledgeable about Joomla as a platform and have a really good idea if this is a platform that fits your needs.